Hey guys, this is Drake from the Unspoiled Hunter here. This is the video I've been promising for a little while, how to use onX to figure out where you can go hunting with public land. This video is very important to me because this was honestly my biggest obstacle to get myself to go start hunting is I just didn't know where I was allowed to go. And the thing that really broke through to me on this was one day I went to a buddy's house and we started talking about hunting, and he started talking about how he's been wanting to try hunting in the area and he's hunted in other areas and he wanted to try it. And I've been wanting to try it. I was like, I just don't know. I told him I don't know where I'm allowed to go. So he goes into his kitchen and he pulls out the local hunting regs. At the time we were in Georgia, so he pulled out a Georgia hunting regulation book, and he started pointing to the sections of the different WMAs and explaining to me on the map how to find those WMAs. And honestly, the easiest way to do that is with onX. So I'm going to show you guys here how to do that. So I've clicked over to my hunting regs here. You can see, let me go back a little bit. So this is just on the South Carolina DNR website. Again, I always tell you guys you need to have a paper copy just for the purpose of doing this video. I'm using the online copy of the regs, but you're going to want to read all of the paper copy. There's a lot of stuff on here on this page to direct to. If you're hunting WMAs, you definitely need to read through this section, definitely need to read through this section here, and then whatever game species it is that you are hunting. But, oh, look at that. Find a place to hunt. How much easier could it be? Well, I happen to know that I live in Game Zone 3. And it shows you a map of Game Zone 3. And it tells you all the different WMAs. And it gives you a map of approximately where those WMAs are. But that's very vague, right? Like that dot right there is, how do I get to that dot? It's not very descriptive. So I would go up to Wildlife Management Area Regulations, and you're going to want to read through all of this. There's a lot of information in here that you need to read, minus all these ads that are floating around. Leave those alone. So I know that I live in Game Zone 3, and again, it's going to show you that same map, a little bit blown up, telling you where all the different WMAs are within South Carolina. Now, this right here, this is what's really important. This tells you the name of a WMA. This one says others. There's places that just fall under the category of other. And it tells you that for deer archery, it starts September 16th to the 30th. So it's only a short window for other for archery. Then deer still gun hunts is October 1st until January 1st. Now, keep in mind, it states somewhere in those regs that you are allowed to use archery equipment even during gun season. That sounds normal, that sounds intuitive, but, not to everyone. So, important to mention. And then you see here, you'll see these different names: Bear Island, Bono Ferry, Botany Bay. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. You've got Canal WMA, Donnelly WMA. I've been to that one. I pulled a tag for that one, and then I was not able to meet their requirements for me to actually use that tag, which was unfortunate, but whatever. I lost $15. Who cares? And then these ones, Francis Marion Hunt Unit, super applicable to me because I do a lot of time in Francis Marion. Santee WMA is one that I go to a lot. Wamba, I've been to that one quite a bit. Moultrie Hunt Unit. So there's a big lake not too far from me called Moultrie, and there's a bunch of WMAs that fall within the Moultrie hunt unit. So, how do you use this information? Because, like, talking to you right now, you have no idea where Donnelly WMA is, right? So, what do you use that for? Well, this is where you use onX. You see here, I've just got zoomed out North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, even Florida, some of Alabama over here. And you need to put down layers. You see this hunt map layers. You want to turn on government lands. You should also have private lands on. I have private lands off during this time because I don't really want to be displaying people's names right now for this video. But most part, you should keep private land, the private land feature on. Possible access. I've never really used possible access. I've kind of just gone and driven and found possible access to go figure it out. And you can see here I have multiple states that I have layers on. That's a feature of onX Elite. If you get the normal onX Premium, you don't get access to have multiple states. And we can talk about that right over here. So you'll see the normal $34.99 a year. I pay for the Elite, which is $100 a year. I can use it on any of the states, including Canada. I don't plan on hunting Canada, but maybe one day, sure. They also have the 2 states if you hunt in 2 states. I mostly only hunt in 1 state, but I do a lot of map scouting, and sometimes I just go scouting maps just for fun. And sometimes I'll just go scout maps in Tennessee just for the fun of it. So I pay for this Elite. It has some extra bonuses, but this is what I get. I've seen some recent sales where this was $17.50 for the year for your first year. There's always some kind of deal out there that you could try to find. A lot of YouTubers are sponsored by onX and have some 40% off discount in their link or whatever. So if you're just starting out, you might want to start with this, and you can probably get it for about $17 or so for the year, which is nothing compared to how much value you're going to get out of it. So anyways, let's go back to the map. I don't really want to show you exactly where I live, so I'm just going to kind of zoom into general area of where I live. And some areas that I'm kind of familiar with. And you'll notice I don't have any of my pins showing right now. You have ability over in my content to be able to turn that off. I don't really want to show you all my pins right now. So I have them turned off for this video. So with the map layers that I have on being the government lands, you can see in this green here, this is all Francis Marion National Forest, all this green out here. And then all these blue areas, these are all WMAs, or wildlife management areas. You see this one's part of Moultrie Hunt Unit. And you can zoom out, take a look at, see there's Donnelly, that's the one that I talked about. What else we got over here? The one that I couldn't pronounce, I'm not even going to try right now. Edisto River, I've got a friend who has scouted over here a few times. I don't know if he's hunted it yet. It's on my list of places that I need to go check out, but I have not done so yet. So the way you do this is you're going to start with where you live. Now I'm going to direct this a little bit just for the sake of I already looked at a place that I decided I wanted to talk to you about today. So let's just say you lived over here in this little town over here called Andrews. Sure, you live over here somewhere. Let's just say you live right there. Yeah, let's say that's where you live. Well, you would just take a look from there. What places are nearby you? Well, look at that. You got a WMA right there. You got some public land over there. That's owned by State of South Carolina. I don't really know what this is. You could probably contact some local people and figure it out. Really, what you're looking for is these places that say WMA or Wildlife Management Area. Okay, so this is Wee-Tee Wildlife Management Area. So as we said, in this scenario, you live in Andrews, somewhere over here. I don't remember exactly. And you just zoom out on the map and you say, look, Wee-Tee Wildlife Management Area. That's close to me. Cool. I'm actually not going to do that with the paper regs. I'm going to do it with this right here so you can see. Cool. You now know Wee-Tee is close to you. So now you're going to scroll through here and you're going to look for Wee-Tee WMA. I think it is within the Francis Marion Hunt unit. There's Santee. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not within there. There's Wateree. It was called Wee-Tee Wildlife Management Area. Okay, so let's find Wee-Tee. Why am I not finding Wee-Tee Wildlife Management Area? Okay, so here comes another little lesson here. Sometimes they're not labeled in here. So if they are not labeled in here, they likely fall within the category of other WMA. Now, you have to verify. If I were to actually go and hunt this place that the map is showing as Wee-Tee Wildlife Management Area, and I couldn't find it in this list, yeah, you could probably just assume that it is within the unnamed WMAs, but you don't really want to tell, a DNR agent or officer or whatever that, oh, I assumed that it was part of this WMA, and then find out that you're doing something illegal because it actually wasn't. There's Wateree. No, that's in Richland County. No, I don't think that's the same one. So it probably falls within other. So we're going to follow other at this point. So if you look at other, deer archery starts September 16th through the 30th, and then October 1st to January 1st, you can do deer hunts. So let's say for some reason you don't like archery hunting. You don't plan on archery hunting. You don't like bows. You don't like archery hunting. That's fine. If you like gun hunting, then you need to follow these regulations right here, meaning you can only hunt the specific WMAs that you're talking about, in this case, other WMAs, October 1st through January 1st. Cool. Now, let's say you didn't like that answer. Let's say you said, no, I want to start hunting in September because, I don't know, maybe that's when your vacation days are or whatever. Well, then you might want to look back at the map and see what else is close to you. Well, you're not that far from all this Francis Marion National Forest stuff, right? Let's just say you picked, Santee Wildlife Management Area. Okay, that's not that far, right? That's drivable from this area over here. Okay, so let's say you wanted to do hunting in Santee then. I happen to know that's part of Francis Marion Hunt Unit for sure. You go to Santee WMA. Oh no, that also starts October 11th. See, if you just don't like that, then maybe you might need to go a little bit further. So let's say, okay, Greenfield, that's not that far. That's a manageable drive, right? Let's take a look at Greenfield, which I happen to know is part of Moultrie Hunt Unit. Scroll down, it's down this way. Moultrie Hunt Unit, Greenfield. Boom, look at that. September 16th to January 1st. So now that would meet your requirement of when gun hunting starts. Now, again, these are just some random scenarios of things that you might want to look for. In this case, I already planned on looking at a place in that Wee area. Now, again, I'm being picky here about where I'm going for this video because if you actually looked at my map, I'll give you a sneak peek here. Just a little sneak peek here. My content. All content. Watch this. Show all. You see that? I don't really want to show you all of that in detail, all super close. So I'm being very specific about where I'm showing you because I don't really want you to come steal my hunting spots. Sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and hide all. And we're going to go back to the specific area. Now I chose this area for this video because I haven't been there yet. And I don't know what it looks like yet other than what the map shows. So let's say you wanted to hunt Wee Wildlife Management Area. Well, that's pretty big. Where do you start? Step 1, find changes in habitat. So if you looked at this area right here, where are the deer? Well, the honest answer is you have no idea. Literally no idea, because this spot looks like this spot and looks like this spot and looks like this spot and this spot. It all looks the same. So when you're looking at land that just all looks the same, you want to look for changes. Deer follow changes in terrain. So you can see this little river here. This probably isn't actually a river. It's probably a dug ditch for some drainage. You see a little bit of change in the landscape here. This looks like potentially a place that you might want to check out. So, sorry, trying to figure out how to do this on the computer. I normally do this on my phone. Add a waypoint. Just drop a pin. Just a standard pin. For me, I use these orange X's. This just tells me, hey, this is a place that I'd like to check out. I'd like to check out this little field right here and know why this looks different on the map than the rest of this. It also leads straight up to this water right here. There's also kind of an isolated point right here. So this is all kind of, it's different. It's just different from this. This all looks the same. This looks different. So those are the first things you want to look for, is just basic changes in the terrain. If you look down here, you got some change in the terrain here. Now, I know mostly from experience here in South Carolina that these vein looking places here are probably like shallow swamps, probably knee deep water, maybe up to hip deep water. So you might want to check around the edges of these for any sign, but you're probably not going to find anything in these areas. All right, so let's go to the actual location that I would check out if I was looking at Wee, because over here, wow, that looks very different. See how different this looks from everything else? That's what I'm looking for. That is how you eliminate 90 to 95% of the land into, this is the area I want to look. Now, if you hunt WTWMA and I just gave away your spot, sorry, anyone could have done this. I'm just looking at a map and looking at very basic things. I promise you, a million people have looked at this spot and said, I kind of want to check out that spot. Now, those of you listening, just be kind, right? Don't go checking out this spot just because this is the spot that I talked about on this video. Like, maybe there's something here, maybe there's not. But I would go and confirm that with boots on the ground and checking it out. I'm not telling you right now that this is the spot to hunt. So don't go do that. Don't expect that I'm telling you exactly where to go hunt. All right, so I like this. This looks interesting. But this is what I like. You see these straight line cuts through here. What this tells me is that this was cut by a timber company. Probably, I would venture to guess based on some of this growth here, probably 5 to 10 years ago. This all got cut in these straight lines. I'll also tell you that this area looks like it was cut even more recently. This looks like it was probably cut in the last 3 to 5 years or so. That's what I'm looking for. I am looking for freshly cut things with fresh growth in it. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one is bedding, especially when you get to these areas that are like 5 to 6, maybe 10 years old of growth. They are thick, very, very thick. The vegetation through here is probably so dense that you don't think you can walk through it. Now, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. I'm gonna go check this place out at some point. But I'm willing to bet that this vegetation here is actually very, very thick. I know it looks sparse, but it's actually not. Just based on the way that this vegetation ends up growing back. So that very thick vegetation, that is where deer are bedding because you can't get into it. And they know that. And other predators can't get into it. And they know that. So they hide out in here. This is where they hide. Now we zoom out a little bit. You see this fresh cut field right here? That's an ag field. Someone's probably planting corn right there. See some fresh cut fields over here. This is probably all corn out here. Corn, wheat, whatever. Some kind of ag is happening out here. Also willing to bet that this guy over here probably has some deer feeders. Probably in this field right here. Probably, if I was a betting man, I'd say right out there. He's got a deer feeder. So, what does that tell you? Well, I know people say deer are crepuscular. That's kind of true, except for hunting season. During hunting season, they are kind of crepuscular, kind of nocturnal. It really depends on how much pressure they have on them. And during hunting season, they have pressure on them. So, these deer in this area, if you zoom out a little bit, I'm talking about an area of a few square miles, like this whole area right here. At night, they are eating in this cornfield and these cornfields way over here. They're eating the corn way out here. Maybe even eating corn in this guy's little field at his deer feeder right here. Well, they only do that at night because they know that that's where they can get shot. So during the daytime, turns out deer don't want to get shot. So they are probably hanging out in an area like this that was freshly cut, far away from the corn and the guy with a deer feeder. They're staying far away from that during the day. They're probably bedded out here, maybe out here. If it's hot, maybe closer to this little river right here, I'm willing to bet right there. So I'm going to drop a marker right here. Again, just a basic marker. I want to check this spot out. If you look over here, oh, look at that. Okay, so it says private road right here. Now, that's not always true. onX is not perfect. So what I would do is I would come drive along this road. It says Santee Road right here. And I would come drive here. It doesn't look like there's a gate. And this is public land right here. So that might be a gate right there. Don't know. So this is all public land. So if there's not a gate, generally you can access it. If there was a gate right here, I would take my bicycle and use my bicycle to come down this road to explore these areas. So first spot I'm going to check out is right there because it connects to that water source right there, and it connects to these clear cut areas right here. And again, I said this stuff is probably very, very dense and probably very, very hard to get to. So I might not even be able to get to there from right here. This might not be an access point. So I'm going to come ride my bike here, and then I'm going to move along and just keep trying to find a route through to this spot. Probably, because this juts out right here, probably right there. So I'm going to add a waypoint. Oops. I'm going to add a waypoint right there. And let's just assume at some point I figure out that there's a little trailhead right here and that I'm going to use this trailhead to get into these trees here. I would mark it as a trail. Cool. So this is the first spot I want to check out. I also want to check out this whole thing right here. But like I said, deer like changes in terrain. And within this change of terrain, you have additional changes in terrain. You have these little, I call them little broccoli heads out here. Just areas where they didn't cut, either they didn't cut the trees here, or more likely there is probably a spot where water pools right here. So there's probably a little ditch of water right in the center of this, and that's why it grew differently. When I find a place that's like this, where it's clear cut and has several years of growth, and it is just nasty to try to get through here, when I find a spot like this that has a little patch of water in there, plenty of dense bedding around, probably some kind of food source in here, I call those deer havens. Those are where deer hang out for most of the day. So I want to get in here and check out this spot at some point. Probably this spot too. So I'm just going to drop some pins. Now this one's interesting because it looks like there's like a little trail right here. Now this is not always super fresh mapping, so I don't know if this is actually a trail, but I would bet that I could probably find a way in right here because I want to check out this spot right here. Wouldn't hurt to check out this little field, just see what's there. So I'm going to drop a pin there. Sorry. Save. All right. This is curious. I don't know what this is. So I just want to go check that out at some point. Probably not high priority, but at some point I want to look at that, see what that patch is right there. Okay. Now I also talked about this little area here. Now this looks like a spot where I could start here. I'm just going to drop a little pin right there. And then these little veins coming out of here look like ways that I can travel. So I'll just drop. All right, sorry I got cut off there. Apparently my video editing software only lets me do 30 minutes at a time. I could fix that in some editing magic, but I don't know. I feel like getting this educational content out there is a lot more important than making my videos look super clean and cool. Way more important that I teach you guys things. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I left off on talking about how these trails, maybe they're a trail, maybe they're not. I'll find out when I get out there. This looks interesting. We got a water source here. We've also got some additional change the um, to the environment here, especially with this right over here. So I would check this out at some point. I'm going to drop a waypoint here. Zoom out. Now, again, I don't know for sure if I'm allowed to drive down this road or not. So I could access from this road here. So I'm also going to drop a little pin right here and say that maybe this is a spot that I would access from. I say that because I'm also interested to see what's in here. You can kind of see the shape in here of what looks like fallen down trees. So likely this was a spot that's just been left with a bunch of dead tree fall in there. You see that here quite a bit. So again, that's just another place I would go and check out. I would also go look at what this building is. It's probably, if I had to guess, a DNR building, probably just based on looking at it. Probably just got some equipment in here. I would just want to be aware of what this building is, because if I'm hunting over here, I want to know, hey, is there people over here? That's something that you should know as a hunter if you're hunting near any sort of buildings. Let's see. So another thing I find interesting about this is this change in landscape here. You see how this is just brighter green. Do I have my oak tree layer on? I do not have my oak tree layer on. I'd be willing to bet. Let's throw some other map layers on. Map layers, South Carolina. Does it not give me the option to show other map layers? There's like there they are. Okay, so these are the additional map layers that I'm interested in. Road, trails, rec, trees, crops, and soil. Okay, this one's super useful. I'm also curious about that one. We'll go to that one next. Acorn producing oaks. Oh, it didn't show up any acorn producing oaks. It's not showing any acorn producing oaks. I don't know why it's doing that. Map layers. Acorn producing oaks. Why is this not showing me any acorn producing oaks, even though I told it to? So normally when I turn that on and I see it on my phone, it shows like orange areas where acorn producing oaks are. And I can see it's not just that area, but it's not showing it anywhere. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing me that from this. But the point I'm getting to, which I guess I could check on my phone. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a quick look on that area on my phone, because my phone is showing acorn producing oaks. Deer like oak trees. They eat acorns from oak trees. Wow, yeah, see there's a lot of orange area on my phone. All right, looking at the same area. Yep, exactly as I suspected. So it's not showing on here. I don't know why I can't get it to show on here. But you see the shift in green right here. This looks like pine trees. This does not look like pine trees because this is mostly oak trees and hardwoods. And I can see it on my phone. This is all lit up in orange on my phone. Like literally, this area out to this area right here is all orange on the map on my phone. So that's another area I would go check out. I want to know what's going on in these trees right here. Also, a little bit right here. Specifically, I'm looking for what trees are producing, what trees are not producing acorns. I'm also definitely looking for white oaks. White oaks produce some of the best tasting acorns, and those are the ones that deer are going to look for. Cool. So, if you take a look from where we started with you live in Andrews over here. And you took a look at Onyx and you found out that WT Wildlife Management Area is not that far from you. We took a look at WT Wildlife Management Area and we looked at this massive amount of land that all looks very similar across the board. And then we narrowed it down to cool, we got this little spot we could check out one day, but really we've narrowed it down to an area that you should go check out. Now, this space, this amount of area, this is definitely explorable within one scouting trip. At least baseline. I would be able to cover getting to most of these spots that we marked here. You guys set aside time for it, probably in the morning. You should probably do it summertime. Right now it's July. Right now is prime time for scouting. If you're not scouting right now, you really should be. This is when you need to get out there and start figuring things out. Let's say you are in the same scenario as I was when I first started. It was already October when I finally bought a hunting license and decided I'm going to go hunting. Well, I missed summer scouting time. I didn't get to scout. So at first, I just went out and just sat and figured it out. By that I mean didn't figure it out. I just sat there and had no real progress. But then what I started doing is most people are hunting from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Right? It's that crepuscular time. So what I started doing in that fall was during that middle time where no one's hunting, around noon or so, I would eat some lunch real quick and then I would go scout an area real quick. So if you find yourself in that scenario where you started in the middle of a deer season, you can still go do scouting and you should go do scouting. You have to scout because if you just full sent it and just went into a place completely blind and you just said, cool, I can hunt in Wheatie, and you just drove through Wheatie and you picked a tree and you just went there, you're not gonna find any deer. I mean, maybe you'll get extraordinarily lucky and you'll find a deer, but you need to spend some time scouting first. So I could probably hit all of this in one scouting trip, but it would take multiple trips out here to really understand and really start to find exactly where the deer sign is. Because, see, I might walk along here and then find, oh, this is way too thick for me to get through. And then keep walking along here and just can't find a place to get in right here. And then this whole area ends up getting cut off to my ability to get to. So I might spend almost several hours just trying to find a way across right here. And then end up just deciding, okay, I can't get through here, so I'm just going to start from here. I'm going to park near the road over here and get in over here. So to really start to fully understand this spot, might take a few trips of coming out here, maybe checking out this spot, and then you kind of get sidetracked when you're scouting, and that's good. That's a good thing. And here's why. If I, let's say, started here and I wandered into here and I wandered and I wandered and I wandered, and right here or so, I found a rub. A rub being a spot where a deer has rubbed its antler on a tree. I found a rub there, and then I follow it this way, and I find another rub and another rub and another rub and another rub. I might end up following a trail of rubs for 2 hours and burn an entire 2 hours just following one trail of rubs back to a single location. And that location might be one of the spots that I already had mapped. So this takes a lot of time. It like we've spent maybe 45 minutes here just looking at the map. Already spent 45 minutes doing that. So actually getting out here, I would say will take several trips of fully understanding this place and this landscape and where the deer are and where they're not. I'd be willing to bet when I come out here, I bet I'm going to find some rubs in here. I bet that I'm going to find that this is so thick I can't get through it, but I will find some tunnels, probably right here, that lead me all the way back into here. It's going to be dense, it's going to be rough, it's going to be really hard to get through, but I'm going to eventually find my way through. And I bet that this right here is what I call a deer sanctuary. Now, I don't know that. Do not take this information and run with it and say that you should go. I'm not telling you to go hunt right here. All I am telling you is at one point I'm going to go check this out, and I bet you I'm going to find some information around here, or I won't. And then I just move on to another place. I would go find another spot. I don't know. Hellhole Bay Wilderness. Anyways, I would just go find another spot, and I would find changes in the environment. Like this. This looks like a change in the environment. So if I was going to hunt in this area, I'd probably check out that, and I'd check out that and see what's there. I'm willing to bet that that is a white oak right there in the center of that field. That's a change in environment right there. There's a change in environment. There's a big change in environment right there. That is a swamp right there. Several swamps. Now you also want to use public and private land boundaries to your advantage. And I am not telling you that you should go sit on the edge right over someone's private land, because that's a good way to piss some people off. But, cool, look at this. What is this? That looks like water. Okay, what's that? Maybe I wouldn't use that. Maybe not a good example there. Oh, Jamestown. I know Jamestown. I've hunted near Jamestown before. Let's say you picked this spot. Let's say you wanted to hunt somewhere around here. Well, again, you're looking at right here. It looks like one of those clear cuts. Very similar to what I was talking about. Similar right there. Looks like a clear cut. Over here, looks like clear cuts with some fresh growth. I bet this is very dense right here. You've also got a creek right here. But you've also got these fields that are definitely ag fields. So some deer are eating corn in this ag field, I promise you. You just need to find where they are bedding, because they're out here at night. So where are they during the day? Probably out here somewhere in some very dense thicket. I'd guess probably somewhere around this creek, probably right there. So again, you can just look at the map and just find these inconsistencies, and that's where you want to start. You're not always going to be successful, and that's okay because you just need to learn. Every time you go out there, you need to learn. And that brings me to the end here. And what I always say, the only unsuccessful hunt is one in which you did not learn anything. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a very long video. I covered a lot of information in that video. So please watch it multiple times, go back through, try to understand what I'm saying. Feel free to ask me questions about the things that I said. I did kind of ramble a little bit while I was doing that. It was 45 minutes. Sorry, I just kind of rambled for about 45 minutes just looking at a map. I do that all the time. I just look at these maps just like that all the time. Um, so if you learned something, if you have questions, please put that down in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. I also have an Instagram that you can follow. I'll put that down in a pinned comment. You can go follow that Instagram account and you can see what's going on with my hunting stories. You can see the deer that I get or don't get. You can see everything that's going on with hunting for me. So please interact with the channel. Go follow that Instagram page, like the video, share the video, please. I'm trying to spread this information so that everyone can learn from it because really that's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach because I wish someone had taught these things to me when I first started. Instead, I had to learn the hard way. Here it is for you guys so that you don't have to learn the way that I did. Like I always say, the only unsuccessful hunt is one in which you did not learn anything. Thanks, guys.